everybody. It's Friday. Happy Friday. This is yet another edition of Fire Your MD Now. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopathic physician. I'm bringing over 20 years of clinical experience as a licensed naturopathic physician to help you understand what you can do right now, today, not tomorrow, not a week from now, not after we get the new research done, not after, we do all of the stuff that the FDA requires in order to give you a drug that's going to be ineffective and then it's going to hurt you and then they're going to have lawsuits against and class action suits against and then nobody's going to go to jail. We don't have to wait for that nonsense. I'm going to roll back the curtain every day here on the egregious failures of contemporary American medicine and convince you beyond a shadow of a doubt why the most important thing that you can do for your health is to fire your MD. Because as God is my witness, unless you're bleeding to death, they bring nothing to the table of any value. As a matter of fact, the stuff that they do bring to the table is ineffective, dangerous, and expensive, and deadly. The leading cause of death in the United States, MD-directed treatment. 780,000 people a year are killed because they were foolish enough to go to the MD. Now, why do people go to the MD? Because the MD has legislated him or herself into the #1 spot. Most people incorrectly assume that the reason that the MDs are at the top of the pecking order in medicine is because their therapeutics are better, their therapeutics are safer, their therapeutics are more tested, their therapeutics are more effective than anybody else's. And this is incorrect. The reason that the MDs are in the driver's seat of medicine in the United States is because of financial and political coalitions which were built between pharmaceutical companies, hospitals, and doctors' medical associations, the AMA specifically, at the turn of the century that everybody has forgotten about. So let's break it down, shall we? My colleague, Dr. Wallach, was in charge of $25 million of federally funded research from 1970 to 1982. That's a lot of research. When he did that research, he eliminated 900 diseases in the animal kingdom. It's why bacon and eggs doesn't cost $300. That's why a carton of eggs doesn't cost $50. That's why steak doesn't cost $100 a pound. That's why chicken doesn't cost $300 a pound. Because the cattle and the sheep and the chicken and the pigs don't get heart disease. They don't get degenerative disc disease. They don't get arthritis. They don't get fibromyalgia. They don't get asthma. They don't get type 2 diabetes. Why? You think those are only human diseases? No. I remember when I was a kid, back in the early 60s, the average life expectancy of a dog was 7 years. Now the average life expectancy of a dog is 21 years. What's the difference? Dr. Wallach's research is the difference. Because Dr. Wallach's research uncovered the extreme importance of medical nutrition. And this is echoed, by the way, by two-time Nobel Prize winner Linus Pauling. Linus Pauling was quoted as saying, everybody who dies of a chronic disease dies from a mineral deficiency. And yet your MD would have you convinced that it's genetic. It couldn't be the MD's fault. Couldn't be their lack of insight. Couldn't be their lack of treatment success. Couldn't be what they do. After all, they're the undisputed emperor of medicine. And we must genuflect every time we drive in front of the hospital. For goodness sake, that's why they have stoplights in front of the hospital, so you can get out of your car and kneel down to the MD, emperor, God, king of the world. It's nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, it is nonsense. Everybody who dies from a chronic disease dies from a mineral deficiency. Now, Wallach's research, Dr. Wallach's research, eliminated these illnesses in animals. 900 diseases, gone. Gone. In the course of 12 years, gone. They're not there anymore. And Wallach discovered, unbelievably, that nutrient deficiency diseases cross species lines. It doesn't matter if it's a bat, a bear, a boa constrictor, a baboon, or a human being. Remember, your body is in the animal kingdom. Your spirit is not, but your body is. Your body is in the animal kingdom. So if a nutrient deficiency disease affects a baboon, a nutrient deficiency disease affects you as well. In Dr. Wallach's research, they did 14,000 autopsies, 3,000 of which were on humans for comparison to the animal diseases. Nutrient deficiency diseases cross species lines. They cross species lines. Let's break it down. Arthritis. Your MD would have you convinced that the only possible solution that you can get, the only treatment that's going to work if you have arthritis is anti-inflammatory drugs, pain drugs, until your problem gets so bad that they have to give you a fake hip, a fake knee, a fake shoulder, a fake finger, or whatever, right? It's anti-inflammatories and pain medication until the joint is so decayed that they have to replace it with a new joint. Well, why do they recommend this? Number one, they're a profit-driven machine. Number two, they have no appreciation, no experience, no respect for medical nutrition. They haven't been taught what I've been taught, and this is the problem. A bigger problem is that they think that what their you-know-what doesn't stink, and if they weren't taught it in medical school, it's just not valid. So if an MD tells you that it's impossible to repair arthritis without nutrition, they're lying, they're wrong. And you should write a letter to your medical board and report them. That wouldn't do any good because the medical board has their back. And even when they kill people, nothing happens to the MD. Even when they maim people, even when they cut off the right leg instead of deliver the baby, they still have a job. MDs have licenses to kill, and you are giving them your life, your liberty, and your freedom when you step foot into their office. And if you're bleeding to death, maybe it's not a bad idea. Now, if you have arthritis, Dr. Wallach's research clearly showed that the vast majority of times the arthritic condition is caused by your body running out of the raw materials it needs to have healthy bones and joints. This is not rocket science. If your car runs out of oil, the engine seizes. If the tires run out of air, they stop going round and round. If the power steering runs out of power steering fluid, you can't turn the wheel anymore. Well, when your body runs out of calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, boron, silica, glucosamine sulfate, hyaluronic acid, and about 40 other, well, more than that, about 52 other nutrients, the joints start to decay. It's no different than your car. Your car runs out of oil, it's got a problem. Your body runs out of raw materials, essential nutrients, it's got a problem. Dr. Wallach's research showed there were 278 diseases, 278 diseases caused by not enough calcium. 278 diseases. Now, there are 90 essential nutrients, 90. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids. It is impossible for you, me, or anybody else to secure all 90 essential nutrients just from eating food. And as a matter of fact, the majority of the food that the food industry has convinced us to eat is bad for us, hurts us, causes inflammation, accelerates nutrient loss from the body. Not only does the food not give us proper nutrition, but it actually develops net negative biological results, net negative metabolic results when we eat it. It's not good to eat whole wheat. It's not good to eat oatmeal. It is good to eat butter. It is good to eat salt. Cholesterol has nothing to do with heart disease. Now, most of what you've been taught about nutrition and food, you've been taught by the MDs who have no training in nutrition and by the people who make the food. Monsanto. You've been convinced by Monsanto to eat your whole grains. You've been convinced by Monsanto and GM and Procter & Gamble to eat your oatmeal. And yet our health gets worse and worse and worse every year. It is a perfect storm, ladies and gentlemen. A perfect storm. The majority of the food that we eat hurts us, and then when we get sick with a nutrient deficiency disease, we are forced to go to the MD because the MDs have kept my colleagues out of the running. I'm only licensed to practice medicine in 16 states, and half of those insurance doesn't pay for what I do. I am not a player. My profession is not a player on the medical stage in this country. We are back of the bus because the MDs control everything. So you have a nutrient deficiency disease. You're forced to go to an MD because it's the only show in town, and the MD gives you a drug to manage the condition. They don't cure it. They manage it. Then your drug gives you a side effect. Then you need another drug for that. And then the initial drug that they gave you stops working. So they either have to increase the dose or give you an analog, give you a different drug, and so forth and so on until you die. And you put up with it. Now, if you have an arthritic condition, if you have arthritic knees or arthritic hips or arthritic shoulders, you need to stop eating the foods that we have identified as harmful, and there are 10 of them. And you can download that list for free on the front page of my website, fireyourmdnow.com. Opt in for my free monthly newsletter. We send it out more than once a month, sometimes 2 times a month, sometimes 3 times a month. If you're lucky, we'll send it out 4 times a month, and it's free. Opt in to my newsletter on the front page of fireyourmdnow.com. We don't sell the emails. We keep it all in-house. And when you do that, you will automatically be sent a link that has the list of good food, bad food on it, and a video that explains why wheat, barley, rye, and oats are bad. So we educate here. We don't dictate, we educate. The MDs dictate, we educate. The Machiavellian ministers of mediocrities dictate, we educate. So, and it's free. Go to the website, opt in for my email list. It's free. Eliminate those 10 foods from your diet. And if you are suffering with bad joints, the recommendation to support and promote the health of your bones and joints is 1 healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and 1 capsule of glucogel per 10 pounds of body weight per day. And if you want to accelerate everything, take an extra bottle of plant-derived minerals, or 2 or 3 a month. That's what you need. The Healthy Start Pack, the Glucogel, the plant-derived minerals, and my favorite, selenium. 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, not to exceed 4 bottles a month. Clean your diet up, nutrify your body, get the heck out of the way, and watch in wonder as your body fixes itself. In keeping with my oath of medical education, we're going to go right to the phones. And I believe Cheryl Lynn is calling in with a question about diabetes. Cheryl Lynn, welcome aboard. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. I am calling about Jeff. Last week I talked to you about Gabe, who was 480. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. This is one of his roommates. Nancy the nurse is married to Jeff, and they all live in it together. Okay. Jeff is 62, 250 pounds, diabetic. He has high blood pressure. He has paper-thin skin. He has a history of clot-related heart attack.
Yep. That's it?
And so, yep, that's it.
Okay. So, now, how long have you been with Longevity?
I helped start FDI.
Well, there you go. All right. Now, a good girl, by the way.
Thank you.
I mean, really, this really takes thinking outside the box. But I have a prediction. Dr. Glidden has a prediction. And remember, I'm a physician and I'm relatively new. I'm kind of 3 years into my experience with the whole network marketing business structure, which is just fantastic, by the way. The more I find out about it, the more I can't believe I haven't been doing this for the last 20 years. As God is my witness, it is just from a pure dollars and cents startup overhead cost business structure. I mean, it's awesome. And my prediction is that in the next 5 years, at least 50% of the people in the United States, at least 50% of people in the United States will be running home-based businesses. As this economy tanks, and as, people are kind of starting to pick themselves up and look around and see that they've been lied to by corporate America, that they've been played by the banks, that they've been played by the pharmaceutical companies, that as the dust starts to settle, and as people start to catch a clue about what's available and what's really, financially viable here, they're going to flock to Longevity and flock to other home-based businesses in droves. And I believe we're already beginning to see this. Isn't that correct?
I believe so, too. I've been very successful with it in these 9 years.
Well, in the last year, right, since FDI has become, a member of Longevity, since the companies have joined forces, we've grown 1,100%. 1,100% in the last 12 months. I mean, that's a real testimony.
That's unreal. Yeah,
not only to the business structure, right, but also to what we're doing here because it works. All right, so your MD would have you believe that diabetes is caused by being overweight, that hypertension is caused by being overweight, that a heart condition is caused by being overweight, and they're wrong. Obesity, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, thin skin, and a tendency for the blood to clot, all of these things, including obesity, are different arms of the same octopus.
How about neuropathy?
Yeah, it's the same thing. The first thing to consider when somebody has neuropathy is whether they're diabetic.
They are.
And, so there you go, right? There's a saying in medicine, when we hear hoofbeats, we think about horses before we think about zebras. So there's a lot of things that can cause neuropathy. But one of the primary things it causes is type 2 diabetes. So when the type 2 diabetes goes away, the neuropathy goes away. So that's what we're going to assume. But my point here is that all of these conditions are like spokes on a wheel. And the hub of that wheel is chronic nutrient deficiencies. Hypertension is not caused by obesity. Hypertension is caused by nutrient deficiencies, as is obesity. Obesity is caused by nutrient deficiencies. So what this person needs to do is eliminate the 10 bad foods from their diet, take 2 healthy blood sugar packs per month, 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium per month, 1 extra bottle of EFAs a month, and that should do it, plus the diet. If he does that, plus the diet, he's going to notice a remarkable reduction in his weight and in his blood sugars, and his blood clotting, blood chemistry values are going to get better every 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. He must keep measuring his blood sugars, and he'll be good to go. Thanks for the call. I appreciate your support. All right, I'll come back with you. We're talking to Cheryl Lynn, who's calling in with one question about somebody with hypertension, type 2 diabetes, thin skin, and a tendency to blood clot. And I think there's something else on her mind. Is that right, Cheryl Lynn?
Well, it's related to that. What is the diabetes diet? I know what the good food, bad food list is, but what's the diabetes diet?
All right, so the diabetes diet is the good food, bad food list, so eliminating the 10 bad foods, plus the elimination of everything for 90 days that has sugar in it. Everything. So no fruit juice, no dried fruit, no honey, no agave, no maple syrup, no molasses, no zero tolerance for anything that has that's concentrated in sugar, fruit or fruit juice. Just don't even look at it. And the rationale behind that is the problem with type 2 diabetes is that the body has trouble putting the sugar into the cell. And again, the problem with sugar is not sugar. Sugar is the gasoline of the human body, and your body loves it. You couldn't blink an eyelash without it, and sugar is fantastic. I mean, you need it. Sugar is your friend. The problem with sugar is if there's too much sugar in your blood, or in the case of type 2 diabetes, your body has lost the resources necessary to process its sugar. So it's kind of like in someone with type 2 diabetes, it's kind of like a 5-lane highway that's gone down to 1 lane. All of the traffic gets bottlenecked and backed up behind the bottleneck. So the body has trouble putting sugar into the cells. So, if you had a broken bone in your leg, we'd set the bone in the leg and put a cast on it and give you crutches in order to take the stress off of the leg while it was healing. Well, in order to take the stress off of your blood while you're recovering from type 2 diabetes, or while we are supporting and promoting the health, your body's ability to have healthy blood sugar, we take the stress off of it by eliminating sugar, extracurricular sugar. And usually we only need to do this. Well, what I recommend is you have the extreme sugar abstinence until your blood sugars are normal and you haven't needed any of your medication for 30 days in a row. Once your blood sugars have normalized without medication for 30 days in a row, then you can start to add fruit and fruit juice back into your diet and see how it makes you feel. So that's the extra added pop there. And when you do it like that, you get better much faster. That's got to make sense, right?
It does. Isn't there something about lots of eggs?
No. Lots of eggs is our recommendation for people that are suffering with hormone problems or cognitive problems or central nervous system problem, because eggs are loaded with cholesterol.
Okay.
And your body needs cholesterol to have healthy brain and healthy nerves and healthy hormones. So type 2 diabetic can have as many eggs as they want. It's not going to hurt them. But it wouldn't be mandatory the same way that it would be, for instance, if someone was dealing with Parkinson's disease or multiple sclerosis.
Okay, great.
Make sense? All right, Cheryl Lynn, you're the greatest. Keep up the good work. I appreciate your support. Tell everybody about this radio show. We want to make it #1 on the Genesis Communications Network. Next up is Jana, I think, calling in with a question about something that I'm not sure of. Jana, welcome aboard. You're live with Dr.
Yes, hi. I'm calling because about 6 months ago, I had a heavy bleeding, and that resulted in my doctor doing a pap smear and then an ultrasound, because they discovered I had a cyst on my uterus, a small one, but a cyst. And also discovered that I had a thickening of the uterus wall, I guess an endometriosis type situation. They want to do a biopsy on the cyst and do a vacuuming of the uterine wall, which I'm refusing to do because I think there's got to be a better way to flush out the uterine wall than by vacuuming it. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, fire your MD.
I already did that.
Okay, good girl. All right. So I'll tell you our take on all of this, okay?
Okay.
This is not endometriosis. Endometriosis is when there is uterine tissue inside your abdomen, right? So it's snuck into the abdomen somehow, and then the main cause of that is tampons, although it can happen without tampons. But that's when uterine tissue gets inside the abdomen, and that's not good. This is not that. A thickening of the uterine wall is the first stage of a fibroid tumor. And a fibroid tumor, a uterine fibroid tumor, is kind of a misnomer because it's not really a tumor. It's just a thickening of the wall of the uterus, and it can get quite big. But from our point of view, it really shouldn't be called a tumor because that's just misleading, the same way that almond milk shouldn't be called milk because it's misleading. It's not milk. It should be called almond drink. Well, it's a thickening of the wall of the uterus. Now, what causes thickening of the wall of the uterus? Well, it's the same thing that causes a cyst to form on the uterus. These are kind of, again, different arms of the same octopus from the medical nutrition point of view. This is caused by oxidative damage to the wall of the uterus. It's the same thing that causes fruit to go bad, the same thing that causes wine to turn into vinegar, the same thing that causes iron to turn into rust. It is, in fact, the leading cause of death in the United States, and it's so prevalent. This tendency for decay is so prevalent that the physicists have given it a name. It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Everything decays. And the main kind of metabolic, in this case, cause of the decay in the human body is oxidative damage. And so when the uterine wall becomes damaged by free radicals that cause oxidative damage, it starts to thicken. So this is kind of a two-step procedure to get on the other side of this. Number one, two steps, but really it's built upon the foundation belief that the human body, given the right circumstances, can fix itself from most things. So what we need to do here is stop eating foods that are causing oxidative damage inside the body.
Okay, like what?
Well, wheat, barley, rye, and oats, oil in a bottle, fried food, well-done red meat, nitrates added as preservatives to meat, the skins of baked potatoes, yams, and sweet potatoes, and any carbonated beverage with a meal. Now, if you'd like that list for free, go to Fire Your M.
I listen to Dr. Wallach's show all the time, so I got those pretty much memorized.
All right, so it's the same foods. You need to stop eating those foods. In this regard, the biggest culprit would be fried food and oil in a bottle, okay?
Okay.
But all 10 foods contribute to this. So number one, we need to eliminate those foods from our intake. And number two, we need to put out the fires caused by oxidation in the body by ingesting lots of, guess what, antioxidants. That's how they got their name. So antioxidants are the key here for you. Okay. Antioxidants, all right? Now, antioxidants, you know, vitamins are measured by milligrams, right, or micrograms. Mm-hmm. Antioxidants are measured by their ORAC score. That's ORAC. And that stands for oxygen radical absorption capacity, ORAC. That's how they're measured. In order to get on the other side of this, the recommendation is between 50,000 and 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day. Okay. Have to go down the hatch. You need to pour between 50,000 and 100,000 antioxidant points down into your belly every day. Now, you can do this with the longevity supplements. The Triple Treat chocolate has 17,000 ORAC points per piece, which is awesome. 17,000 ORAC points per piece, and it's chocolate, right? And it's diabetic friendly. It's awesome, and it tastes great, and it has probiotics in it. I mean, just let Dr. Wallach go wild, and, you know, the stuff that he comes up with is the best, and this is really a testament to his expertise. Triple Treat chocolate, you can eat as much of that as you can afford. If you get the Anti-Aging Healthy Start Pack, one of the components of the Anti-Aging Healthy Start Pack is a product called Cell Shield RTQ. And in one capsule of Cell Shield RTQ, there's 8,000 ORAC points. 8,000 ORAC points in one capsule of the Cell Shield RTQ. And in 2 scoops of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, there's 5,700 ORAC points. 5,700 in 2 scoops of Beyond Tangy Tangerine, 8,000 in one capsule of Cell Shield RTQ, and 17,000 in one piece of chocolate, for goodness sake. Mm-hmm. So, you know, add up what you can afford through the nutritional supplements, mm-hmm. and then make up the difference to get you over the 50,000 ORAC a day measure with food and drink. And you can do a little Google search, ORAC mm-hmm. food value, right? All right. And you know,
how long
so
would I be doing this approximately?
Well, you would be doing this until the uterine wall stabilizes.
Okay, so another ultrasound would be called for. Mm-hmm.
That's correct. And, you know, I've seen these things go away in 8 weeks. I've seen them go away in a year and a half. Great. It really depends on too many variables to predict, but it's going to go away. Mm-hmm. However, the key for you is really you got to dial in the antioxidant thing, and you really have to make sure through a concerted effort of your willpower to get mm-hmm. more than 50,000 a day. And by the way, there are cultures around the world that the Harvard researchers refer to as the blue zones, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. There are these people, third world people. Some of them are fourth world people. All around the world, they live to be over 100, and they're healthy. They don't have heart disease. They don't have type 2 diabetes. They don't have, you know, uterine fibroids. They're 105 years old. They don't have hospitals. They don't have Walgreens. They don't have pharmacies. They don't even have a roof over their head, man. Mm-hmm. And they're, you know, 105 years old, 110 years old. Well, what's up? Well, Wallach wrote a book about what's up, and one of the things and it's called Immortality. It's a great book, by the way, if you haven't read it. Dr. Wallach's book, Immortality. You can purchase that, by the way, on my website, fireyourmdnow.com. Mm-hmm. One of the keys to their success at longevity is that by accident, they were consuming 20,000 ORAC points a day by accident. Now, the average American consumes 1,500 ORAC points a day. They got 20,000. They live to be over 100. We get 1,500 ORAC points a day, and we die in our 70s. How did the blue zones
get these 20,000 ORAC points a day? What did they ingest?
By accident. Accident. You know, they were living in a part of the world where the soil was so rich in minerals mm-hmm. that the potatoes that they ate had 10 times the amount of antioxidants that we did. Mm-hmm. They were making homemade wine or homemade beer, and the ingredients were so pure that they were loaded with antioxidants, 100 times more than you can get in wine or beer that we buy, you know, at the supermarket. It was by accident. Mm-hmm. It was by accident. Now, if we do on purpose what they did by accident, we're going to accelerate our lifespan and increase. We're going to get closer and closer to our genetic potential, which, by the way, is 120. Your human body has the ability to make it to 120 years. Right? They even say that in the Old Testament. You're good for that. So am I.
I'll drink wine. Thank you.
All right, red wine. Go for the red wine. Red wine is better. Up your antioxidants. Up the ante with your antioxidants. Live long and prosper. I'm one more call, more or less. So we are going to Julian, who's calling in with a question about allergies. Julian, welcome aboard. You're live with Dr. Glidden.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Yeah, thanks. I have ragweed bothers me at this time of the year, and also I've had this cough some this year, starting in January, no less, from a little traumatic stress event. But it's typically only when I would speak, and it was if I had it like I did. You know, for at least 5-6 months, I would have been coughing already, and thankfully it's subsided a bit, but I still have it a little, which was not happening before. So, anyway, with regard to some of the longevity things, I'm interested in hearing.
Okay, great. Well, these are all good questions, and they're all related. And, you know, again, whenever there's a chronic health condition, whether it's an allergy or whether it's a chronic persistent cough that comes and goes or chronic headaches that come and go or aches and pains, these are all indications of an imbalance in the body, because when the body is in a state of health, we refer to it as being in a state of something called dynamic equipoise. Dynamic equipoise. And when the body is in a state of health, you can walk through a field of pollen and not have an allergic reaction. When the body is in a state of health, you can, experience stress, high stress events, and nothing happens to your body. When your body is in a good state of health, you can, drop a rock on your foot and your leg isn't going to break. You're going to get a bruise, but you're not going to get a break, and so forth and so on. So, interestingly enough, now this is not intuitive, but you just have to trust me on this. Any type of an allergy, from the holistic point of view, any allergic symptom, I don't care if it's a pollen allergy, a cat allergy, or a food allergy, the root cause of the allergic condition is consistent consumption of wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Because the consumption of wheat, barley, rye, and oats leads to a condition called leaky gut. And leaky gut leads to overstimulation of the immune system. So, interestingly enough, eating whole grains is one of the leading causes of the allergic condition. And it's the completely reverse of what we've been taught, but nonetheless, there it is. So, the recommendation here, if you're suffering from allergies, which you are, and I don't care if they're seasonal or whatever, you have to be gluten-free, man. You have to just dial in the gluten-free diet immediately. So, and it's a lot easier to do that, by the way, now than it was even 2 years ago. There's a lot of gluten-free resources now that are popping up even in local grocery stores, right? You don't have to go to the health food store for gluten-free stuff anymore. You can find it everywhere. I even heard rumors that Subway is going to start to have gluten-free bread for their sandwiches. Don't know if it's true or not. But there are a couple of pizza chains here in Chicago. They have gluten-free pizza dough now, and, they're selling a lot of it. So gluten-free lifestyle is a lot easier now than it used to be. Now, in addition to stopping the food that's generating the causative factor, the nutrients that you need to help your body get on the other side of this are specific here, and it's specific. And it would. So how much do you weigh, man? How much do you weigh?
125 on a heavy day with my shoes and pockets full.
All right, good. So you would need one anti-aging healthy start pack. One anti-aging healthy start pack. And I would get an extra bottle for 1 or 2 months of Cell Shield RTQ. Because the
Cell Shield?
Yep, Cell Shield RTQ. Now, Cell Shield RTQ is part of the Anti-Aging Healthy Start Pack. You're going to get one of those bottles in the Healthy Start Pack. I want you to get an extra one, because the Q in the Cell Shield RTQ stands for quercetin, and quercetin helps to stabilize the allergic condition. It's like a natural antihistamine, but it's not really an antihistamine, but it has the same effects, and it's very good. So during the allergy season, if you take 9 of the Cell Shield RTQ a day, it'll go a long way towards helping you get on the other side of it. And one last thing in the last 10 seconds. Every time you start sneezing your head off, I want you to look to see the very last thing you had to eat or drink, and remove that from your diet. It will help a lot. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Thanks for calling. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your patience. Check me out on the World Wide Web at fireyourmdnow.com, and I'll see you on Monday.